All right, lastly, we are going to explore the distributive property, and we are going to be seeing if I take, now this is where it's different. If you notice, I used to just be using star. And this is an important little detail. I'm going to scooch up a little closer so you can see. Is it true that if I have A star, which is one operation, maybe it's addition, B plus C, or it's a circle plus, which means it could be anything else either, does that work as if I could just take A star to B and then add that to the result of A star to C? So can I put this in there? And this should be an A star C. So if I'm adding two things and starring A with them, is that the same as adding those two things with A star to them? So can I just distribute that in? And maybe this looks a little bit more familiar for those of you who've had some algebra. But if I had like x times x plus 1, that really is, or let's try 2 to make it a little more exciting. Okay, so you can do this sort of thing maybe you've learned. So distributive property. So that would be x times x squared in other words, and then 2 times x. So I really can distribute it in. So what this is saying is that multiplication is distributive over addition. So if I'm multiplying, if I'm multiplying something that's being added, I can just multiply to each of the individual parts and add that result together. So I can perform the operation that way as well. So distributive property does hold, and now because I have two different operations going on, I can ask myself, I need to have two things. So we just explored if multiplication is distributive over addition. And the answer was yes, right? So multiplication is distributive over addition, question mark? Yes. So I can do like 3 times the result of 2 plus 5. And that would be 3 times 7, which is 21. And that does turn out to be the same as 3 times 2 plus 3 times 5. And that's something that comes up frequently when computing. And we might have already taken it for granted, but that's what's going on, right? I can do 3 times 2 is 6, plus 3 times 5 is 15, and also 6 plus 15, yeah, that does turn out to be 21. So multiplication is distributive over addition. All right, let's change our words around a little. Is addition distributive over addition? So what if I just change 3 times to 3 plus? So 2 plus 5 is still in parentheses. Ugh. But I'm going to have a 3 plus instead of 3 times. Is that really going to be the same as 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5? I think we should know maybe from associative property that's not. But if not, we can check it out, right? So this, okay, let's find out what it truly is below the line, because this is what we're wondering. 3 plus 7, which is 10, versus this is going to be doing those, putting 3 into each part. That's going to be 5 plus 8, which is definitely not 10. It's actually 13. So I added the 3 and 1 too many times. I shouldn't have put it to both. It only belonged to one. So that's a little bit of the distributive property. The really tricky thing here is that I have two different operations at hand. So I can't just say, like before I could say addition is associative, multiplication is commutative. Here I have to say two different operations, so I need to carefully say addition is distributive over addition, which isn't true. But is it true that multiplication is distributive over addition? Yes. And you can fill in these blanks is, so star, whether that be multiplication, is distributive over plus, and you can switch out your star and your plus and see if it holds for different operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. You can switch the order around. So is division distributive over multiplication? Is multiplication distributive over division? Is multiplication distributive over multiplication? And we can keep asking these questions and get a bunch of guesses or no's. Especially, you can definitely really convince yourself that it's a no, because if you find one contradiction to the idea of it being distributive, if you find some way in which it doesn't work, you definitely know that that operation isn't distributive over blank other operation. So that's a little glimpse into the distributive property. The key thing here is that there are two different operations at play. Okay, thanks.